Have you ever wondered why the very people you treat with kindness are the same ones who take you for granted? Have you noticed that the more you give, the less they respect you? Why is it that kindness, something so pure and divine, can sometimes lead to mistreatment? Because the world does not respond to kindness alone. It responds to authority, wisdom, and boundaries. God designed you to be kind, but not weak, to be loving, but not foolish, to serve, but not to be enslaved. If you don't understand this principle, you will live in frustration, wondering why people overlook you, dismiss you, and even exploit your goodness. Today, I will show you why your kindness makes people disrespect you, and how to walk in the kind of kindness that commands honor rather than invites abuse. Be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16. Why would Jesus say such a thing? Have you ever thought about that? He could have just told us to be kind, to be loving, to be gentle. But he didn't. He said, be wise. Because he understood something that many good-hearted people fail to realize. Kindness without wisdom is dangerous. Many of you listening today are suffering, not because you are bad people, but because you are too good without wisdom. You are too generous without discernment. You are too available to people who don't deserve your presence. You think that if you just keep giving, keep serving, keep being nice, somehow people will finally appreciate you. But let me ask you, has that worked? Some of you are exhausted. You're pouring out your heart, your time, your resources, only to be met with indifference, disrespect, and even betrayal. Why? Because kindness alone does not guarantee honor. Look at the life of Jesus. He healed the sick, he fed the hungry, he raised the dead, and yet the very people he loved shouted, "Crucify him!" Why? Because human nature does not value what it gets too easily. Let me say it again. Human beings do not appreciate what costs them nothing. Have you ever given someone a gift and instead of gratitude, they acted like it was owed to them? Have you ever helped someone out of a difficult situation only for them to forget what you did? That's because what is freely given is rarely respected. God designed the world with the principle: the value of a thing is determined by what it costs. That's why gold is expensive, because it is rare and must be refined. That's why diamonds are precious, because they require pressure to be formed. That's why salvation is powerful, because it cost the blood of Jesus. And yet, some of us give ourselves away without requiring anything in return. We let people have unlimited access to us even when they don't honor us. We keep giving to those who never reciprocate. We keep sacrificing for those who don't even say thank you. And we wonder why we feel used. If you do not set a standard for how people treat you, they will assume you have none. A river without banks becomes a flood. It loses its direction. It destroys instead of nourishes. And that is what happens when kindness is not contained by wisdom. It overflows into destruction. Some of you have been so busy trying to prove your goodness that you have ignored the signs of dishonor. You keep excusing bad behavior, telling yourself, they didn't mean it, maybe they'll change, I just need to give more. But let me ask you, how much more do you have to give before you realize they will never respect what they do not have to earn? Even God himself places conditions on his blessings. He says, if you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Isaiah 1:19. He does not throw pearls before swine. He does not pour out his treasure on those who despise him. So why do you? Some of you have confused kindness with self-neglect. You think being good means never saying no. You think being loving means letting people take advantage of you. You think being godly means letting people take advantage of you. But that is not kindness. That is a lack of wisdom. There is a difference between helping and enabling. There is a difference between giving and being exploited. There is a difference between serving and being enslaved. If you don't understand this, you will keep living in frustration. You will keep wondering why people don't respect you, but the truth is, people treat you according to the standards you set. A king does not beg to be honored. His presence demands it. A lion does not seek approval. It simply is what it is. Your kindness should not make you weak. It should make you wise. From this day forward, stop giving away what God intended to be protected. Stop throwing pearls before those who cannot see their worth. Stop confusing godly kindness with reckless generosity. Be as wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. Because if your kindness is not guarded by wisdom, it will not be honored, it will be abused. Why is it that the more you give, the less people appreciate you? Why is it that those who beg for your help often forget you when they no longer need you? Why do the ones you sacrifice for the most seem to be the first to walk away? Because people do not respect what they do not have to earn. It is human nature to take for granted what is freely given. Look at life itself. When something is rare, people treasure it. When something is costly, people guard it. But when something is easily obtained, it is quickly discarded. You don't have to teach a person to value gold. It is understood because of its scarcity. But give someone a handful of sand and they will let it slip through their fingers without a second thought. Why? Because it costs them nothing. Many of you listening today are suffering, not because you lack kindness, but because you have made kindness too cheap. You have given too much, too easily, without requiring respect in return. And now you feel invisible, wondering why people overlook you, why they dismiss you, why they do not cherish the very things you pour into their lives. Let me tell you a secret. People don't respect kindness. They respect the cost of it. Even Jesus understood this. He healed the sick, fed the hungry, raised the dead. Yet he did not make himself available to everyone at all times. He did not perform miracles on demand. He did not waste his energy trying to prove himself to those who refused to believe. He gave, but he gave with wisdom. Look at the woman with the issue of blood. She had to press through the crowd just to touch the hem of his garment. She had to reach for it. She had to desire it. And because of that, she received a healing. But what if Jesus had just handed out miracles to everyone without requiring faith? What if he healed people who didn't even want to be healed? What if he chased after those who rejected him, begging them to receive what he had to offer? They would have treated his power like a common thing. They would have trampled on it. They would have taken it for granted, just like people take you for granted when you give without requiring honor. If you never teach people how to value you, they will never learn. If you do not set a standard, they will assume you have none. This is why some of you feel unappreciated, because you keep giving to people who have not learned how to treasure what you offer. You keep pouring into those who do not even recognize the cost of your kindness. You keep showing up for those who would not lift a finger for you. But let me ask you, if something costs you everything, but costs them nothing, do you really think they will honor it? This is why relationships fail. This is why friendships break. This is why employees disrespect their employers and children rebel against parents who have sacrificed everything for them. Because when something comes too easily, people assume it has no value. Even God operates by this principle. Salvation is free, but it is not cheap. It cost the blood of Jesus. And even though his love is unconditional, he does not force it on anyone. He does not chase people down, begging them to serve him. No, he offers it, but you must come to him. Because when you make people work for something, they cherish it more. Some of you need to stop giving so freely to those who do not honor what you bring. Stop saying yes to people who have not proven themselves worthy of your time. Stop pouring into those who refuse to pour back into you. You are not being unkind, you are being wise. Because true love does not just give, It teaches others how to value what is given. If you want to be respected, stop making yourself too easy to access. Stop handing yourself away like something common. Stop believing that being kind means being available to everyone at all times, because people do not respect what they do not have to earn. Why do people mistreat you? Why do they take you for granted, use you, and walk away as if you never mattered? Have you ever wondered why those you love the most sometimes give you the least respect? Because the absence of boundaries invites disrespect. People do not mistreat you by accident. People do not walk all over you by mistake. They do it because they were allowed to. It is a hard truth, but it is the truth. When you do not set a standard for how you should be treated, people will assume that anything is acceptable. If you do not create boundaries, people will take as much as you are willing to give. And if you do not teach people how to value you, they will never learn. Even Jesus, full of love and grace, had boundaries. He did not allow everyone into his inner circle. He spoke to the multitudes, but he walked closely with 12, and even among the 12, he had 3, Peter, James, and John, who saw things the others did not. Why? Because access is a privilege, not a right. Some of you have allowed too many people into your life without qualification. You have opened your heart, your time, your resources without discerning who is worthy of them. You have cast your pearls before swine, only to be trampled on. And Jesus already warned you about this. He said, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces." Matthew 7:6. Yet, some of you are still doing it. You are giving your best to people who treat it like it's nothing. You are pouring your heart into relationships that leave you empty. You are making yourself available to people who do not even recognize your worth. And then you wonder why you feel drained. You wonder why people take advantage of you. But let me ask you, who taught them that they could? If someone walks into a royal palace, do they sit on the throne? No. Do they touch the crown? No. Do they walk into the king's chambers uninvited? Absolutely not. Because a king sets boundaries. A king enforces respect. A king does not allow himself to be treated as common. But if you present yourself as a servant in your own kingdom, don't be surprised when people treat you like one. If you keep saying yes when you should say no, don't be shocked when people assume you have no limits. If you tolerate disrespect, don't wonder why it continues, because people will always test the limits you set. And if you set none, they will assume there are none. God himself operates by this principle. He is a loving Father, but he does not tolerate rebellion. He is merciful, but he is also just. He forgives, but he also disciplines. And yet, some of you think that being godly means allowing people to do whatever they want to you. But love without boundaries is not love. It is self-destruction. If you want to be respected, you must first respect yourself. If you want people to value you, you must first show them how. Because the absence of boundaries does not produce love. It produces abuse. From this day forward, stop apologizing for having standards. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop allowing access to those who have not proven themselves worthy. You are not being unkind, you are being wise. You are not being selfish, you are being a good steward of your life. You are not rejecting people, you are protecting what God has given you. Because the absence of boundaries does not invite love, it invites disrespect. And if you do not guard what is valuable, do not be surprised when others do not either. Do you know why people misuse you? Do you know why they take advantage of your kindness and never look back? Do you know why those who should appreciate you the most often treat you the worst? Because when something is always available, it is never valued. Human nature does not cherish what is always present. The sun rises every morning, and most people don't stop to appreciate it. Air is all around us, but we Don't think about it until we struggle to breathe. The most precious things in life become invisible when they are too accessible. And this is why some of you feel ignored, overlooked, and unappreciated. You have made yourself too available to people who do not deserve that level of access. You answer every call, respond to every request, say yes to every demand. You are always there, always giving, always showing up, thinking that if you just do more, people will finally see your worth. But let me tell you a hard truth. What is always there is never truly seen. Look at the prodigal son. He had everything he needed in his father's house. Love, protection, provision, but he did not value it. He wanted something else, something that seemed better, something he had to chase. And it wasn't until he lost everything, until he found himself eating with pigs, that he realized what he had taken for granted. Why? Because people do not appreciate what cost them nothing. Some of you are pouring yourselves out for people who do not even recognize the gift that you are. You are always available, and yet they never truly see you. You are always giving, and yet they never truly appreciate you. Because when something is too easy to obtain, it loses its value in the eyes of those who receive it. Even God himself does not make his presence available to just anyone at all times. He says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart," Jeremiah 29:13. He does not throw himself at those who have no desire for him. He does not force his love on those who do not honor it. So why do you? Why do you keep running after people who do not value you? Why do you keep giving yourself away to those who do not even say thank you? Why do you keep chasing those who have already shown you that they do not care? If God himself requires pursuit, why do you not? Some of you need to stop being so available to those who have not earned the right to your presence. Stop answering calls from people who only reach out when they need something. Stop bending over backward for those who do not reciprocate. Stop exhausting yourself for those who have proven that they do not see your worth. Because the more you give without requiring anything in return, the less they will respect you. The more you make yourself easily accessible, the more they will take you for granted. The more you pour into people who do not value you, the more empty you will become. If you do not set a standard for how people should treat you, they will assume you have none. If you do not teach people to honor your time, they will waste it. If you do not require pursuit, people will assume you are not worth the effort. This is not about being arrogant. It is about being wise. It is about understanding your value. It is about refusing to allow yourself to be treated as common. Because when something is rare, people cherish it. When something is costly, people protect it. And when something requires pursuit, people value it. From this day forward, stop making yourself so available to those who have not proven themselves worthy of access. Stop giving yourself away to those who refuse to see your worth. Stop allowing people to take you for granted simply because you have been too afraid to pull away. Because what is always available is never valued. And if you want to be honored, you must first require it. Do you know why people take advantage of you? Do you know why they mistreat you, overlook you, and act as if your kindness is a weakness? Have you ever wondered why the more you give, the less people seem to honor you? Because when you do not define yourself, others will define you. When you do not set the terms for how you should be treated, people will set them for you. When you do not establish your worth, people will assign their own value to you. And if you let people determine your value, they will always set the price lower than what you are truly worth. Look at Jesus. He knew exactly who he was. He did not let the Pharisees define him. He did not let the opinions of men shape his identity. He did not seek validation from the crowds. He walked in his purpose with full authority because he understood his worth and because he knew who he was. He never allowed himself to be disrespected. Some of you are suffering because you have not yet established your own identity. You have not made it clear who you are and what you will and will not accept. You have allowed the world, society, and even those close to you to dictate how you should be treated. And because of that, you are living beneath your value. But let me tell you a truth. No one will honor what you do not honor first. If you do not respect yourself, people will not respect you. If you do not value your own time, others will waste it. If you do not define your worth, others will always undervalue you. Even God established his identity before men. When Moses asked, "Who should I say sent me?" God responded, "I am that I am," Exodus 3:14. He did not wait for Pharaoh to define him. He did not allow the people of Israel to question his nature. He declared who he was with full authority. And everything else had to align with that declaration. So why do you allow others to define you? Why do you let the opinions of people determine your value? Why do you tolerate disrespect when you have the power to set the standard? If you do not establish who you are, the world will assume you are whatever they want you to be. If you do not command respect, people will assume you do not deserve it. If you do not walk with confidence in your own identity, people will treat you according to their convenience, not according to your worth. This is why some of you feel drained. You keep trying to prove yourself to people who do not even see your value. You keep trying to be good to people who have no intention of treating you well. You keep allowing access to people who do not deserve to be in your life. But let me tell you, a king does not beg to be treated like a king. A queen does not plead for honor. They walk in authority because they know who they are. They do not tolerate dishonor because they have already defined their worth. Some of you need to step into your identity. You need to stop waiting for people to validate you. You need to stop allowing mistreatment in the name of kindness. You need to stop thinking that being a good person means allowing others to walk all over you, because true kindness is not weakness. True kindness has power. True kindness has authority. True kindness comes with standards. From this day forward, stop letting others define you. Stop allowing people to set the terms for your worth. Stop waiting for permission to be respected. Define yourself, establish your value, and walk in the authority that God has given you. Because when you do not define yourself, others will do it for you. And they will always underestimate who you truly are. You were not created to be walked on. You were not designed to be overlooked, used, or taken for granted. You were fearfully and wonderfully made by a God who placed purpose inside of you. And anything that carries purpose must be protected. If people have been mistreating you, it is not because you are too kind. It is because you have allowed your kindness to be misused. If people have been taking you for granted, it is not because you are unworthy, it is because you have not required them to see your worth. But today, that must change. Today, you must decide to honor yourself the way God honors you. Today, you must make a choice to set a new standard for your life. Today, you must declare that you will no longer tolerate disrespect, that you will no longer give yourself away cheaply, that you will no longer live beneath your value, because you teach people how to treat you. If you give without requiring honor, do not be surprised when you are not honored. If you allow people to take you for granted, do not be shocked when they walk away without gratitude. If you continue to make yourself too available, do not wonder why people do not chase after you. But the moment you raise your standard, everything will change. The moment you stop apologizing for having boundaries, the right people will begin to respect you. The moment you stop begging to be seen, those who truly value you will recognize your worth. Because you were never meant to be common. You were never meant to be taken for granted. You were never meant to be used and discarded. You were meant to be treasured. You were meant to be honored. You were meant to be respected. So walk in that truth. Step into your worth. carry yourself like the person God created you to be. Because when you honor yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. Good luck on your journey to reclaiming your value, and may you never again allow your kindness to be a reason for your mistreatment. Thank you, and God bless you.